When I was trying to scale my business, I kept telling myself the exact same lies over and over. I'll get to it this weekend. I just need to work harder. Maybe once things slow down, I can actually focus on this. But pretty much every founder knows how this particular story ends. Your to-do list never ends. Your calendar never gets empty. Your inbox keeps getting flooded. And at the end of the day, the only thing that's really holding your business together is you. So a couple of years ago, I just made a decision that I was going to stop working on tasks that were just keeping me busy day to day. And I started doubling down on the tasks that actually moved the needle, actually produced revenue and helped me grow the business. And that's really when everything changed for me. My revenue jumped, my margins got bigger, and the business started growing itself without me being trapped in it and glued to it 12 hours a day. So in this particular video, I'm going to walk you through many of the tasks that I just stopped doing entirely, and all the systems and people that I hired to plug into those systems that allowed me to grow faster without burning out. So let's get into it. All right, so the first one is an absolute no-brainer. This is a great place to start. I stopped being my own admin. Any little admin tasks that would bog me down throughout the day, I wrote down on a notepad, and over time, this list grew and I was able to document all the things that were sucking my time, whether it was looking at emails, scheduling appointments, updating the CRM, anything that was admin related, I just documented and I got rid of. So this was really the first change that I made. One thing in particular I wasted so much time on that I'm sure you do as well are emails. Most emails probably don't need to be read. You might be copied on them and they're completely irrelevant. Or 3, they're pretty simple to handle and you can just have the VA do it for you. That was really the first thing I got rid of. I got rid of my emails. I went from reactively checking them throughout the day, responding to everyone as fast as humanly possible, to looking at them maybe once a day, ideally like a couple of times a week. And I had a VA in my email inbox who was trained to know what types of emails that I was going to receive, how to respond to them, and how to take over the whole thing. Getting rid of emails alone was huge. I mean, not only did this save me a lot of time and brain power of actually having to go into the inbox, read the emails, figure out which ones are relevant, respond to them, etc., but it also gave me more focus and mental clarity because previously I was very reactive and like kind of anxious about checking emails because I thought I always had to get back to everyone right away. This would constantly interrupt my workflows and whatever I was focusing on because I would get a thought to go check my emails, I would get interrupted and then have to come back and refocus. So just getting rid of that was huge. It's actually a really easy task to delegate and train someone how to do. You can give them different templates on how to handle common replies. You can use an AI agent to assist them. You can build out a custom GPT in ChatGPT that tells them how to reply, where if they get stuck, they go in and they chat with ChatGPT and it helps prompt them on how to reply to that email. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. It's really not hard. There's a little bit of upfront time investment, but in the long term, the amount of time you're going to save is amazing. Okay, next up, a little bit more advanced, but definitely the next thing you should tackle is really operational work. So this could range from onboarding new clients. It could be pulling data and looking at different systems to really identify how all the workflows are performing and where potential bottlenecks are. This could be managing your team day to day. Someone calls out sick, how much PTO they have. Maybe you're handling support issues with customers that are pretty basic. All of these operational day-to-day things that have to get done for your business to function and service your clients can easily be delegated to someone else. And I guarantee you that you might surprise yourself. You can probably find someone who's better at it than you are. I have an operations manager in both of my companies, and each one of those people is basically the centralized focal point that everyone reports to. They make a lot of decisions on my behalf. And to be honest, they're a lot better at operations than I am. I'd rather focus my time on creating content, sales, marketing, things like that, things that I'm naturally inclined to be better at. And operations for me in particular, and my personality, is not my strength. So for me, it made a lot of sense to just get all of that off my plate so I can focus on growing the company. And just like the admin role, this is not really that difficult to train for. You basically are going to record Loom videos for all of the standard operating procedures. You're going to document all the recurring tasks and then train your VA on how to perform those. You're going to map out all the scenarios in which they'll have to make a decision and all the nuances included for those scenarios so that they're not reliant on you to make the decision, and you're not a bottleneck for anything that needs to get done. So you can really go from being stuck in the weeds of operating your business to your delegating all of that to a virtual assistant who specializes in operations, and that's literally all they do as their career. And you can meet with that person maybe once a week for 30 minutes or an hour max to help make some more complicated decisions, fine-tune some training, and also just stay informed about anything that's going on. This is probably one of the most underrated roles that people are hiring virtual assistants for. Most people don't even think about it. This is a very common role that I suggest our clients hire for very early on in their business, because when you have a strong operator in place in your business, you're just going to have a much more fundamentally sound foundation to build your business off of. You don't want to wait too long to hire this person, because if you build a team of people and they're already tenured and established, and then you're going to bring someone in later on to manage them and oversee everything, sometimes it can be a bit challenging culturally introducing that new person into the company. So I would highly recommend hiring them early on while building your business. That being said, do not let this deter you from hiring them at all. If you already have an existing team, still highly worth it. All right, the next thing I stopped doing, which was huge, was I stopped being a walking, living, breathing SOP for everyone to refer to when they needed help. What I was originally doing was I was giving answers to a lot of questions that my team would have across all departments from memory, and I was having to be reactive, which again, I hate doing, to any questions that came my way. And a lot of these questions were repetitive questions, and they really just required me to take a step back, document all these questions, the answers, the SOPs, etc., whether it's in a Google Doc or a Loom video, and then do some training and show my team what to do. And then organize all of this information into a centralized database so that if people have questions later on because they forget how to do something, they can go and reference that centralized database instead of coming to me. Now, one thing that I really am a strong believer of is just guarding my time like as closely as humanly possible. And also, more importantly than my time really is my focus. And every time that I have to reactively do something that interrupts my flow state or my focus on whatever I'm doing, it's really a net negative to the business and the dollar per hour of my particular time. So I try to block out as much as possible. I don't want distractions. I don't want to be reactive to anything like the emails I was talking about earlier or answering questions. I want to set everyone up for success from the beginning. And whenever reoccurring questions pop up, I block off the time to make an SOP or a Loom video or train everyone so that I don't have to keep answering it over and over. The end result of approaching my business this way was probably a 90+% reduction in interruptions throughout the day, which was a huge game changer. All right, so in summary, the real reason all these things help my business grow faster, and what most founders are really missing because they're just not thinking about this the right way, is that growth doesn't just come from doing more, it really comes from doing less of certain things. What you need as you're growing your business is leverage. You need to find ways to leverage your time so that every single thing that you do throughout the day is producing the highest dollar per hour output humanly possible, and you need to do that as consistently as possible with no interruptions or distractions. Ultimately, every low value task that you continue working on is just slowing your company down. And delegation isn't just about saving your time, it's really more about creating capacity and creating space that you can now have to work on other things. And when you remove the admin and the operations and being that walking, breathing, living SOP that has to be relied on for every single decision, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, you now have more space, you have more capacity to focus on other things like sales or strategy, leadership, training, things that are really going to help make your business more structurally sound, robust, and more successful. So the big takeaway here, if you need a summary of the video, is that you're not going to get bigger just from working harder alone. Yes, you do need to work hard, and there's a time and place for hard work, but you're actually going to scale when you're strategic about how you spend your time. And this means removing everything that's going to prevent you from thinking, deciding, and leading your team. Thinking is really the key word here. I think most people don't spend enough time actually thinking about their work. They spend too much time working in the business and working in their work, whereas they really need to work on their work and they need to think about what they're doing, because sometimes a little tiny change in what you're doing can send you in a completely different trajectory. This is exactly why I was able to grow my business significantly faster when I stopped doing all these different tasks that I outlined in this video. And when you get all that low value work off your plate and you have the space and the time and the capacity to lead and think strategically, everything in your business is going to completely change. And if you want a VA that you can delegate to the right way, I'm talking about an A player who's going to go above and beyond, someone that just really gets it, someone that treats this as their professional career, not just like a freelancing side gig that they're taking online. That's exactly what we do. We go and help you find A players all around the world, in the Philippines, Latin America, Egypt, and South Africa, depending on the particular role that you're looking to hire for and the culture of your company. If you'd like help finding the best possible individuals for any role within your company, click the link below to learn more. Book a quick call. We'll match you with the perfect VA for your business. And in some instances, if you qualify, we can help you build an entire team.